Well, hello and happy Monday to you. I'm Winnie's son, entrepreneur, mom of three, CNBC financial advisor, council member, and host, executive producer of the Modern Mom Monday program. It is such a treat to be here with you on this beautiful Monday. As a reminder, we're streaming live today and we will be monitoring your comments and questions. So please check in. Share with us if you don't mind right now. Don't be shy and tell us where you're joining us from. Today we're going to talk about the holidays. We are here to talk about the holidays. Can you believe that Thanksgiving is just a couple weeks away? I know. If you don't mind, tag someone in the comments of someone or some people you hope to connect with over the holidays virtually or in person. After canceling summer vacations, many of us were hoping to hug, see, visit, and spend time with our family members this holiday season. I know at my house, we normally spend a week or so in San Antonio with our family there and another with our local family. But this year is going to be so different. Here in the US, the pandemic is now in its third phase, and we're about to reach 10 million cases, leading to more Americans suffering in the hospital and our medical professionals overstretched and exhausted. Many families are wondering how they should best navigate the holidays with their loved ones, and even more importantly, how are they going to have those conversations about people they love and care about while still keeping that holiday spirit going that we all crave? Keeping this alive, right? We got to keep the holidays alive. Fortunately, we even enlisted help to talk to us about how we can celebrate the holidays with our families during a pandemic. Please join me and welcome me, the one and only Dr. Cindy. Dr. Cindy is a child development and marriage family therapist who has worked closely with thousands of children, teens, and families. Dr. Cindy, it's great to have you here. How are you?
It's my absolute pleasure to finally be here. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I know you're joining us from Florida, right? And the weather's a little
Yes.
challenging today, right?
Yes, we had a very bad tropical storm last night. My lake is now in my backyard. Schools were canceled. Everything was canceled. We had over 20 inches of rain, but thank goodness we're all okay. It was pretty intense, but we're all good right now. Thank goodness.
Oh, wow. That does sound like really intense. I'll tell you, Dr. Cindy, we actually had rain here in Southern California this weekend, but nothing compared to you. But my heart goes out to you. I'm glad you're safe, and hopefully everybody continues to stay safe. But I want to take a moment to introduce you because you're one impressive woman. She is the author of the award-winning book Fun with Mommy and Me. I know you're a child development and marriage family therapist who has worked closely with thousands of children, teens, and families. You're an award-winning author and founder of Mommy and Me Company. Now, you may recognize Dr. Cindy from NBC's Today Show, CNN, and the Lifetime channel, and she also appears locally on NBC6, South Florida Today, and CBS4. Dr. Cindy also co-produces videos on health and family issues. Dr. Cindy, I thought we would start with this. There was recently an article from NBC titled, COVID means Thanksgiving and Christmas will be a bummer. Don't make it worse by urging joy. I mean, I don't know, just reading that article was kind of a bummer, right? The title kind of makes you feel like it's a bummer, but the article talks about something many of us are deeply concerned about, and that is the holidays and what that's going to look like for families across the country. I would love for you to kind of lead this conversation. Is there a way for us to still celebrate, salvage what the pandemic has taken away from us?
Well, I think it's obviously each family has to do it on an individual level, what they feel comfortable with. Obviously, the bubble, we all need to stay in our bubbles and be careful. The most important thing is having a plan of what you're going to do for Thanksgiving. For example, planning who you're going to have over, hopefully less than 10, if you're going to wear your masks, should be invited, who shouldn't come, and obviously have a plan of a meal and shopping. And there are many things that we can do to make us feel together as a family, even though we may be so far apart. And it starts literally in the home. Like I said, for example, plan who's going to come, make invitations, spend some time with your little ones, making invitations to send out to them. After that, I would say, for example, plan your meal, what you're going to cook. Have the family sit down together as a team to bring everybody together, decide what you're going to make. If you decide that you want to go shopping in a safe way, Go have your children come with you and help you be part of it. Being part of it, engaging your family together is what is going to make this holiday so much better, is engaging with the people around you and the people that love you. That's the most important thing, engagement.
Engagement. I love that. And I love the idea of putting together invitations. One thing, Dr. Sydney, that was really tough for us was, we have parents that are obviously older and at risk, and also they have caregivers going in and out. So it's an elevated level of risk, and breaking that news of it might not be the best idea to get together. And you mentioned keeping parties with less than 10 people,
Mm-hmm.
but even less than 10 people, right? One of my good friends who's trying to figure this out for her family says, well, we're trying to figure out whether or not, what do we do in the house? I mean, do we have them wear masks? Do we not have them wear masks? And it's a really sticky situation, especially if your family members don't have the same level of risk or safety concerns that you may or may not have. I mean, it could be, we could be on, like, let's say a scale of 10 being most careful, one being least careful. What happens when your family member is at an 8, or maybe you're at a 4, or vice versa? What do you
Well,
think?
I'll tell you exactly what we've done very recently for one of the holidays. I don't even remember which one it was because each day is like another day. But we had my 93-year-old aunt uncle who stayed on one side of the room with their masks. And then we had the little ones on the other side of the room with their masks. And everybody was spread out all over the place. We wore our masks, we sat and we talked. And then when it came time to eat the cake, it was a birthday cake, we had them still sitting on opposite sides and eating the birthday cake and then putting their masks back on. And that was a couple of months ago. We all really, really careful because we've been in our bubbles. And thank God everybody's okay because I think we did it, carefully and we planned for it.
You plan for it. But some people are saying, well, my that's great, but I feel like my family won't be so excited about coming to an event and wearing a mask. In fact, one of my clients said this. She said, we invited the family members to our backyard. This was a little bit warmer, to come and sit and have a socially distanced lunch. And they were really offended. They felt like we didn't care because we needed to stay 6 feet apart. This, I think, is a common concern. I think, different generations, different people, different backgrounds, people have very different feelings. I'm imagining you can avoid a lot of these sticky conversations by having these discussions even before you get together.
Yes,
Right?
and yes, 100%, Winnie, and that's what we did. We asked them if they would feel comfortable, what they wanted to do, and some people didn't want to come, so we said, "Don't come. We love you, but don't come. We'll take the phones. We'll do Skype. We'll do Zoom. We'll do whatever we need to do to make you feel part of it." Everybody has to feel comfortable because spending time on a holiday not feeling comfortable, it's just going to negate all the positive feelings. So everybody definitely has to make a decision and a personal choice of what's going to work for them. We are literally just having 5 or 6 people. That's it. And we're going to be socially distancing, wearing our masks. Everybody wears a mask when they come into this house. That's just the rule. No mask, no entry. That's just the way
Hmm.
it is. So it's individual. It's what every family and every family member needs to discuss beforehand.
How interesting. Oh, well, that's really interesting. So, in general, what do you think the pandemic has done to affected families? I mean, you work with a lot of patients. What are
Mhm.
you hearing?
It has been a very interesting experience for me as well as a therapist, not only dealing with regular issues, but the issues of isolation. Isolation has been, I think, the biggest factor in this pandemic for everybody, mostly the children. I work with a lot of teens and children. And for them, their parents have become, their world, their absolute world. And what I have found is that many of the parents, the kids are reporting to me that they're not feeling as connected to their parents because the parents are constantly on their phone or some kind of device, even when they want to talk to them. So, even though we need technology during this pandemic, it's extremely important to have the technology. I always am trying to tell parents that when you're with your children, please stay off your phone. They need the contact, they need the engagement. Even at dinner, take your phones and put them aside. That's been the hardest thing, feeling isolated and then not feeling engaged with parents. That's been a very huge subject that we've been talking about.
Oh, that's a great reminder. And I think we can all relate to that, especially since we just went through this crazy election. I think we were
Yes.
glued on our phones, and I think our kids too, right? I think our kids too. I mean, they're having many kids, like my kids downstairs, distance learning. So
Yes.
when they would usually be, engaging with their teachers or their classmates, now they're glued on their Chromebooks. And
Yes.
so they're used to getting that digital interaction too. And actually, for those of you who are joining us, I would love if you are watching, to share what you're planning to spend the holidays this year as. Are you going to be meeting in person? Are you going to do this virtually? It'd be good to get a feel and do a survey of what you're doing as well. Um, Dr. Cindy, so what do you think is the best way to tackle the holidays if we can't travel, if we can't be in the same room with our loved ones? Um, I know you talked about sending out invitations, having that communication. Obviously, as much as we can, keep our electronics toggle to the chargers and not our hands. Um, any other tips on how to stay connected with your children, your spouse during this time?
Yes, there's actually an app where you can actually send in videos and make a video message to people. I had it written down somewhere. I can find it at some point. But we've been doing it for the birthdays, everybody's birthdays and anniversaries. And what you do is it's an app and you load your message up and it goes right in and it comes a long video. So everybody, you can tell everybody happy Thanksgiving, we love you, we miss you, and everybody can be on it. And it's a fabulous, fabulous app. And I think that's one thing we can do. And also, really being intentional about spending time together. We don't do that. We try to grab a moment here or a moment there. Being intentional, over the holidays, try to engage, for example, even, with your kids, no matter what age they are. Puzzles, color together, play cards together, Monopoly, board games. And for the teenagers, if mom or dad doesn't know how to play one of their video games, ask them to show how to play a video game. Kids love that because then you're engaged with them and they go, wow, my parents are cool. They really want to see my video game. So it's a way about connecting. It's all about connecting.
I love that. And you actually brought my kids would be so happy that you said that. And I agree with you. I think we have to be very proactive in engagement. I heard this from one of my tweet chat community members. They said, one thing that we've been doing regularly on the weekends now is we actually put together groups of kids together that come together and they play, like they play their Nintendo Switch games or they play their Minecraft. But alongside that, we set up a Zoom call for them so they can see each other, they can talk to each other, so they have that engagement. So it's not just like the game is really, I think, it's just something to keep them busy, but they crave that communication via Zoom.
How much?
And it makes them feel engaged. And I was thinking, like in my case, that we have family members across the country. I think what we're going to do is do something very special, utilize Zoom, and I'm definitely using your idea of sending out invitations, how my kids work on that. I mean, what a great idea. Although we can't be together in person, it doesn't mean that we can't talk. But you're right, we have to really make the effort to
Mhm.
stay engaged.
Absolutely, it's the
Mm-hmm.
most important thing, and even during the holidays, for example. Another thing I always like to tell families to do is to do charity work. For example, how do you do charity work from your house? Well, you get
Mm-hmm.
old toys, old clothes. You teach your children about the gift of giving, especially during these difficult times. So you spend a day gathering old toys that you might not want, explaining to your children that it's for children who really need them and may not have a toy, and clothes. And that's such a great way of teaching, the meaning of giving during the holidays.
That's a great idea. I love that idea. And in fact, that's something I think my family and I can definitely do. We actually like to do that around the holidays anyway.
Mhm.
Usually at our company, all our employees get together, we wrap gifts, we buy brand new toys and warm clothing and, gloves and beanies and everything. We wrap them up and we deliver them to the shelter. But this year, I guess my team will be my kids and husband at home. So that's a great idea. In fact, Cross X Fighter, who's joining us on YouTube, says that their family and them usually celebrate Thanksgiving with relatives when they're a kid. In the modern era, we celebrate as a family. I like it because no crowds, no noise. Agree with you too. I really love that. I think it's all like what Dr. Cindy said. It's what works for you, what makes you happy. And especially during this time when I think stress is at a higher level. Talk to me about this. How has the pandemic changed family dynamics?
Do you have 5 hours? No, I'm only kidding. Well, at the beginning of the pandemic, I had written an article, because we were saying we're going on lockdown, we're shut down, where it was like this very intense negative experience, and I changed it to the word cocooning. Cocooning for me, I said, let's call this cocooning, a time for us to wrap up in a safe, nurturing environment with people around us who love us, and put a pause button on a pause button to think about our lives, to think about what's important, to spend time with our families, to be able to do things that we didn't have time to do before. And then when it's all over, we'll have that appreciation for our family and our friends and really what's important in life. So for me at the beginning, that's very much what it was about, looking at more, taking, a negative experience and trying to make it into a positive experience. And many people use that time to restructure their lives, to look for new jobs, new relationships. So it's been a very interesting transition. For the teens and the kids, it's been a little different. It's a little bit, a little more negative. It's been a little more isolating. Except at the beginning, when everybody was home and they loved having their parents home, it was like the best thing that had ever happened to them. So it depends on when you started, at the beginning of the pandemic as opposed to now, because now everybody's getting back out and getting busy. And I think what's happening, and I see what's happening, is that there's a little resistance. Well, they used to spend time with me, or I used to have more time with them, but now everybody's getting re-engaged in their lives. So it's interesting to see, what's going on now with the children and families.
I love that. And Dr. Cindy, you had mentioned this earlier, but I would love for you to sort of give us, sort of map this out a little bit for us. Many of us have grandparents, right? Our kids have grandparents. We have parents. They're getting older. And one thing we've talked about is obviously the dynamics with children, not being able to go to school for many of us, and things aren't normal. But talk about our senior citizens. I mean, our parents and grandparents, things are definitely very, very hard on them. And a lot of them are craving that social interaction they've enjoyed and look forward to during the holidays with their grandchildren or children. What can we do for them? What are some things that we should be mindful of to make this experience better for them? And a lot of them aren't that tech savvy.
Well, yes, I know, but we're trying to teach everybody. Well, at least in my family, we've got everybody to know how to use FaceTime and Google Duo. So we've managed to get our older people in our family to do that. But if they can't do that, obviously, even if you can drive up to their house and sit far away or look through the windows and talk to them, cook them a meal, bring them a meal, send them little things in the mail. With the mail still works, we can send little cards to them telling them how much we love them. But we can go up and we can visit. Even though we're far away, they can sit on one side of the porch and we can sit on the other side of the porch. So try to get there. We're cooking the meals, baking cakes, cookies, sending little cards in the mail. Nana, Papa, we miss you. Grandma, Grandpa, whatever it takes to make them feel, and call them every day. They know how to use a telephone. They still do know how to use a phone, so you can pick up the phone and at least call them every day and check in. That's what I've been doing with my elders that are in the family.
That's a great idea. So like kind of like an advent calendar, but make it a call every day, maybe a
Yes.
postcard or a card. And there's a lot of great resources out there. In fact, I think what I'm going to do is you've probably seen a lot of companies now, you can actually upload a photo and create a greeting card and they can mail it
Yes.
directly. Imagine having one of those each and every day for your the important elders in your family. How cool is that? All right. So one of the things that we had a question of, and this is for those of you who are watching, we love to hear how to feel gratitude and how to teach it to children. Dr. Cindy, let's have you lead. And those of you who are watching, I know CrossFitter says he's been agreeing with what you're saying, Dr. Cindy. So this is great. How do you feel gratitude? How do you teach it to children?
Well, I think children are very intelligent and they really do understand everything you share with them. And you just talk to them like you would an adult, explaining that some people don't have money, don't have food. And what you do is we give to them. We give the things that we have that they may not have. I talked about the toys. The toys always seem, such an interesting experience when you're working with little ones as to, well, have you played with this toy for a while? But another child would really love it. Telling them what's important in life, telling them that having a roof over their head, food on the table, and people who love them is really important. Giving away, giving the charity work, even baking and bringing them, to a homeless shelter and dropping it off gives them gratitude. I mean, we used to be able to go to homeless shelters and and nursing homes, which is what we used to do during the holidays and bring it, actually bring it and spend time with the seniors, but we're not allowed to do that anymore. So even just dropping something off is just as important. It puts a smile on their face like you wouldn't believe. Even like I said before, that one phone call a day brightens their whole entire day. So the gratitude is just teaching them how lucky they are and how fortunate they are, and that we need to give of ourselves. We need to give of ourselves to others. And it's just speaking to them and asking them if they understand. And then, do you understand what I said? And they don't know. So, well, let me explain it again. And then you explain it to them over and over again until they understand it. And they do eventually understand it.
I love this. So helpful and such great reminders. I think sometimes these are things, Dr. Cindy, that we know, but we just need to be reminded. And it's great to hear from you because especially right now at this juncture, when many of us are trying to plan for the holidays, we're
Yes.
trying to make it special, and we're still juggling everything else going on with our lives and our work and our families and everything in combined. Thank you so much for giving us the tools and really giving us some keys. Going to take it from here. Let me tell you, one thing that I'm going to ask you for, Dr. Cindy, is definitely that app, because you had mentioned the video app of what people can use. I think that's going to be helpful to many people. And definitely those of you who are watching, I mean, if you have ideas, maybe technology, different systems, or even like you had, Dr. Cindy had mentioned, right? Creating a card, super easy. I'll tell you one. Like a lot of companies, like even Rite Aid, Costco.com, I think Sam's Club probably as well. You can upload a photo and you can have it created into a really simple, like photo greeting card. You can make one of the kids or whatnot and have it sent to your loved ones. It can actually mail it directly in. So it's a really efficient way for you can actually upload one a day and send it along every day. And literally, like you said, the U.S. Postal Service is definitely still working. And it's a really creative way, like you said, like the other thing I would mention too is consider gifting a digital photo frame this year, especially if family members have internet, then you can have them preloaded, but there's even systems now that you can upload them over the internet and keep that content fresh. Super, super fun. I will tell you, one of the best things that we did for my dad, who many of you know actually had a really bad accident, he's bedbound. We actually sent him a stand to hold his iPad above the bed. And then that allows me to hit FaceTime and the kids can go and talk to grandpa. So, you just have to figure out a way to make it fun. So, Dr. Cindy, amazing.
I do have that app. I do have that app too.
All right.
It's app.vidhug, vidhug.com. app.vidhug.com.
Wonderful. Let me share that with everybody here. Let me just type it. Give me 1 second. And so, check this out. I think especially now, so many of the social media platforms also have really fun ways of making apps. And I will give a quick shout out. If you haven't checked out, definitely check out Adobe Spark too, my friends. As you know, I'm an Adobe insider. Adobe Spark. Adobe has so many really fun tools that are super easy for you to get really creative and tools that even you and your family can use together. So thank you all so much. Huge thank you to you, Dr. Cindy.
Absolute pleasure. And happy holidays to you and your family, and be safe.
Happy holidays to you. We thank you for your time. Thank you so much for sharing that app. And thank you so much for sharing these definitely usable reminders to get us through this difficult time. And I'm pretty optimistic. Thanks to your advice, I think we're going to be in better shape. Dr. Cindy, any other tips you could think along the way you want to share with us? You're always welcome to do so. We would love to hear from you again. And thank you everyone for tuning in and joining us on Modern Mom Monday. Let me just tell you, you're going to want to come back in December. December, we have a very, very special show. Any of you guys fans of, those talk shows where they give out things? Well, we might be just doing something like that very special next month. So definitely stay tuned and follow Modern Mom on YouTube, on Facebook, as well as Instagram, and all the different other social media channels for more information on that. A huge thank you to our beautiful Modern Mom community and our contributors, and of course, for putting together this very special show. Thank you so much, my friends. I'll see you very soon. Have an amazing week. Have an amazing Monday, and we'll talk to you very soon. Bye-bye now.